I'm thinking about how do you qualify yes, because
Mm,
we were talking at the break before, and you'd ask, why are you so quick why are we so quick to say yes at our companies? And I started thinking about, even now at the level I'm at in my company, new vendors are constantly pushing us to use them and try them, right? It's
yeah,
a freight vendor, or it's a graphics vendor, or an AV company. And we've met at a conference like EDPA Access, right, which just took place. And, I'm very clear on, and very loyal to the partners that we have. But a lot of my people, right, in our world, right, senior project managers very often they're empowered to try somebody new. They don't have to get permission, but they're quick to. So I think the pressure of, aggressive vendors is one thing. How about, it seems like more than ever, donations to personal causes,
mm,
um, whether it's an individual's family or, a larger organization. Um, and we may not have budgeted for that. And the thing is, if that happens 10 or 12 times a year, that's a significant amount of money, which ultimately can affect something else that you did plan
right.
for. I think the one I feel, again, in my position, unproven, um, unproven to my company, or unproven return on investment, marketing and advertising spends,
Mm,
right? And, if what you're doing is working, or if you have a plan, I don't want to be closed minded to new things, but, I'm much more apt to now to say no if I don't understand it, or I don't really fully understand how it can help us achieve what we're trying to for our customers and our own company. Then I hesitate. And you can name drop all the other people that are using it. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean it makes sense for me. But
mm.
I mean, do you have a process where that you think even quickly to qualify yes?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that you can think about, and depends on if you're talking about you personally as the business owner, or your company as a whole, or if you're talking about qualifying projects. You have a good process, don't you, for qualifying projects? Like, you got some good
We do. We
questions.
have a formal go, no go
Yeah.
that
So what is that process? We'll start with that one.
so again, it used to be, again, back when, if you're just the commission salesperson back in the day, right? The decision to pursue a project was how much time I wanted to put into it, because it was my time and I had to believe in it. But I wasn't thinking about the production of it. Now that events and projects have become more complex, so now, when a request comes in, we're checking the calendar time of year, right? If you're asking me in the middle of the January run for a Vegas project, and I know right now in early December what our CES dance card, which in the second week goes right into the SHOT Show, which goes right into the World of Concrete. I know what the general calendar looks like, but then I can look at our production calendar. So I'm looking at calendars going, what's our capacity? Number one. Number two, what's the complexity? Is this stuff that we already own and what we do every day, and it's a high percentage win? Or, is this going to be the big custom shaped thing made out of tempered glass, and integrating a lot of client products, and it's got a lot of electrical and electronic work? And, anyway, so the series of questions that we're asking ourselves even before a client discovery call is, what's our capacity? How are we looking on the calendar? Where is the location at? Do we have the assets already in city? If we have to bring those assets in, is there, by the budget is a big one. Is there a realistic budget to achieve this? Not just to build it, but to deliver it, which has a lot of support services. It's the other thing. How much of this has show services that really we don't touch? Hanging signs where it's rigging, right? Electrical AV, running water, things that we will have to, there's risk to us to take the responsibility of, but there's really not a profit opportunity for us there. So anyway, there's the intent, the graphic, um, uh, output. What's the artwork? Well, it hasn't been created yet.
Yeah.
So that's another TikTok time bomb that potentially could throw out. So we ask, those are all things where we want to get all that information. So within 24 hours, we can come back and go, we'd love to do this with you because we see a high percentage
Yeah.
chance of wowing you.
Well, yeah, and
But
having that
we
checklist,
want to tap out before we get in the ring, Khalil, if we just don't think it's a good.
having that checklist is so valuable. Just, hey, you do not say yes to an opportunity before you go through this checklist. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like 7 points. Does it fit this? If not, it's not a good fit, right? And I think one thing that I would add to your list there, that I always talk about with people is, um, the stakeholders that are involved. Like,
Yeah.
there's certain things that you can just read on a sales call that, hey, this person's going to be a nightmare to work with. They're unorganized. They're all over the place. They're going to be throwing in all these last minute things. They're going to be calling me at all hours of hours of the night. Save your team the headache of dealing with some of these people who aren't a good fit because they're not organized enough to do this business. They need somebody else to handle the ins and outs of the project, not us, right? I always say, if you're not charging for project management as a service, then you're probably not profitable on some of these jobs, because
Yeah.
the hand holding and the project management of it, that with all the scope changes that are going to happen, if you're not charging for those things, then don't do it. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's a great thing, the checklist that you ran through opportunities. I think there's other things like vendors that you mentioned, that you need to have a qualifying list for those vendors too. How do we know that this is the right fit?
Yeah.
So
If it's a sizable project for us, I can look at the circle of offices that the input we want to get from. So there's production, right? There's field operations. They're going, this is going to be a 20-man labor call at a time we're running 45 men already that week, right? So, and by the way, maybe you haven't heard, it's a bit of a labor challenge out there right now. So I want to get their input. Project management, what's our capacity with
Mhm.
existing jobs? Finance, are we background check? Do we know anything about the financial payment history of this partner that's come to us? So we sort of make the rounds and just test it. And I'm not saying we do it on every project, but if you're gonna, you know what a normal project is, and you know what something that might be a stretch project for
Yeah.
the company. So
Well,
yeah, again, we've learned to say no in moments, even if it's a doubtful. We don't lean in and go, well, it's doubtful, but you know what?
yeah.
We're supposed to be going for it. Remember, intentional. Let's grow our business. And how many times have we all talked ourselves into taking it on when we just know that maybe not,
Yeah.
not this time.
I think, one thing with those stretch projects, I've seen this where companies will take on a project that's like 5x what they've ever done, because
Yeah,
there was a huge top line number. And the challenge with that is you've never done that before. And the types of things that pop up that on that size of a project, like if you have problems on your current projects and this one's 5x, just 5x your problems. You know what I mean? And not only that, you mentioned like the labor challenges. Let's say
yeah,
you do hire people for this job, this one 5x. Are you filling more of these size jobs down the pipeline? If not, now
yeah.
you've got mouths to feed that you're not going to be able to feed in whenever this project wraps up, you know?
You talked about this at another call, and so the 5x project, and you think that's 5x more than what you're normally doing in your pretty active month. What you don't realize is, you know, what's your capacity as a company?
Yeah.
Because if you take it on, and what you're really doing is now you have an inability to do all the other work that you had scheduled or that you're normally doing, which, oh, by the way, are probably your best customers, your
Mhm.
most regular customers, right? So is it really additional work, or are you replacing your your best customers and your best work because there's a bit of a vanity play here because of the prestige, either of the brand or the location or what it is. So you're right. Those are all, and so when we do the go, no go, that's my job.
Yeah.
That's senior staff's job, is to look at it at that, above the treetops, and recognize, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah.
Yes. Wouldn't it be great to take that on and have that in our portfolio or to add that revenue. But at what cost?